Guten Tag. Welcome backen. I'm John Stark. I don't know. Is backen the. What did I just say in German? I don't know. I think I just welcomed the moose. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and I wanted to do some final Oscar predictions ahead of Christmas. These are my final predictions. Pre-Christmas. We're milking this for all it's worth. Thank you for being here. Click like and subscribe, and you can get all of my hot Oscar takes off the presses. Singeing hot. I've called all of the members of the Academy, and I know what they're voting for. We've spoken, and they really, really loved Gabby's Dollhouse. That's my prediction. Best picture of the year, Gabby's Dollhouse. That's what I keep hearing from people. I've talked to every member of every branch, and the one film they're talking about is Gabby's Dollhouse. So let's start with Best Picture, which is going to obviously we're filling 10 spots here. One Battle After Another takes the first spot because I also think it's the film that's going to win. I don't see that changing. I think this is a sweeper year for One Battle. I don't know where it loses. I think the category division at the Globes just made it stronger. The only film that would intrigue me would be whatever wins in Golden Globe drama, but then again, last year that split led to Emilia Perez winning, and Emilia Perez was not going to win the Oscar. So, theretofore, what film could possibly beat? I think its strongest competitions are Marty Supreme and Sinners. That'll slot in at 2 and 3. Marty Supreme moved up to number 2 with that highest PSA since 2016. Not bad. We obviously love ourselves some Chalamet. It'll be interesting to see when that film goes wide, how big it goes. But it's not like One Battle has an insurmountable box office tally to it. So it's possible Marty Supreme could actually outgross One Battle After Another, and opening at the right time. I'm not going to say there isn't a path to winning for Marty Supreme and being the surprise sort of like, oh, what? Of the year. But the other film is Sinners, which is just sort of, I think, benefits a lot from preferential voting because I think it's going to be high on everyone's list, even if it's not number 1. It's going to be everybody's like 2, 3, 4, you know, maybe a couple people won, but like 2, 3, 4. And to be consistently high and rank that high on everybody's list, I think could put it in position, whereas One Battle is a little bit more divisive. So even though it'll be a lot of ones, it'll also be a lot of 8, 9, 10. So, or a few. And like how much does that pull it down or weigh it up? Weigh it down. So after that, slot 4 is going to Hamnet, which I think is getting in this year. Slot 5 is going to Frankenstein, which I still think is Netflix's best contender. There's been some debate over that as to which one is Netflix's biggest contender, but if anything about the shortlist showed us, it's that people are responding to Frankenstein. I think the problem is that not everybody loved Frankenstein, and those that didn't are having a hard time wrapping their heads around how other people could, which is always the problem when you didn't like something, is imagining that other people did. And I see a lot of that in predictions of people being like, well, I didn't like it, so how could anybody else like it? I saw it. I didn't see anything good there. Which is why you have to listen to a lot of other people. Otherwise, you just end up regurgitating what you would vote for. There seems to be enough draw and support for Frankenstein. And the fact that Guillermo del Toro is within striking distance of getting your director nomination, and that people have acknowledged that, and the fact that anybody would think Frankenstein isn't going to get in is bizarre. That he would be that close to a director nomination, but yet you think Frankenstein may somehow miss. I don't. And then I want to give some slots to Neon. to Neon. Specifically, sentimental value, and it was just an accident, which I think we've been getting 2 international nominees in for the past couple years. I don't think that's going to change here. I think that's going to continue to stay pretty status quo moving forward. So we're gonna go with those two for slots 6 and 7. So what else do we have? What else is out there? Considering the Globes nominated 12 films, and there were some notable snubs. Jay Kelly didn't get in. Wicked didn't get in. How does that affect their campaigns? Fox Searchlight has had a little bit of a hard time with their titles. Begonia seems to be hanging in there. Does Begonia get a nomination? Is there anything else that could possibly stay? How many nominations could Netflix get? Could Train Dreams get in for Netflix? These are all the important questions to finish out the rest of the list. Is there a big film like an F1 that could suddenly drive in at the last second? I think people are sleeping a little bit on F1. I think F1 is a little bit closer than some people have been willing to admit. As other films have fallen away, I think Apple doesn't really have anything else to campaign, so they just keep reminding people F1 exists. So, and then you look at sort of the short lists, and you can kind of see where the trends are moving from other branches. And since everybody votes for Best Picture, it's good to appear everywhere because, you know, you need support from every branch. The more support that you have from every branch, the better. Some films don't really lend themselves to craft categories. It doesn't mean they're not going to get nominated. All that being said, for the final 3 spots, I'm going to go with Secret Agent at number 8. Number 8. And say that we actually get a 3rd international entry in this year. And while Surat is picking up a lot of tech nominations, I don't know that it can go all the way for picture. Secret Agent to me feels like it's the most accessible and most likely of Neon's other 3 remaining movies. I know people would love to see No Other Choice here. I would love to see No Other Choice on shortlists. That's what I would love to see, would be No Other Choice appear on a shortlist other than international feature. So when but Secret Agent, I think, is headed for Wagner Moura. So I think it's got a little bit of an edge. I do think Netflix is going to get a second film in, and it's looking like that film is going to be Train Dreams. So, the Train Dreams of it all. So in the final spot for Best Picture, we're down to, has Begonia done enough to knock off Wicked? And I'm going to keep saying Wicked for right now. I don't know that Begonia has come on strong enough to get the nomination. And I don't know that it's necessarily positioned in too many categories to boost itself either. Whereas Wicked did pretty well for itself in the shortlist. So the bottom line people like it. They perhaps even like it a little bit more than Avatar. So instead of predicting that the new Avatar movie is going to hit at number 10, I'm going to stick with Wicked for Good over Begonia. But I think if I had to say who's in 11th right now, I would say it's Begonia. I think Begonia is the one that would surprise me the least if it shot up into the top. There are other films that I think should shoot into the top, but Begonia. I don't think we're going to get 4 international nominees. 3 would already be a lot. So, director, let's breeze through this one. Paul Thomas Anderson is headed towards a win in this category. Then it's going to follow with Javar Panahi, I think, is getting the nomination. I was a little, at the beginning, I was like, I don't think they're going to give it to Ryan Coogler. I think they're going to snub him. I don't think they're going to snub him. I think he's going to get in. I think they're going to snub somebody else. It's going to be a little bit of a surprise. So my list is going in a different direction. I think those are probably 3 people that everybody else is predicting. And then I'm going to zigzag. a little bit on the final two spots. um, I I've debated about whether or not Sentimental Value is going to get the nomination for Joachim Trier or Trier. Um, and I think I'm making his name too French. And uh, there are other international nominees that I think are going to pull. International directors like international nominees, and trying to bet against an international nominee here, I don't know if that's necessarily the best thing. Uh, but I'm gonna go with another international director, somebody who may be surprisingly into getting a little bit more love, and then somebody else whose film may be on the rise. So for the final fourth and fifth place spots, I'm gonna pick Josh Safdie and Guillermo del Toro, and I'm leaving out Chloe Zhao and uh yeah, and Sentimental Value. So um Del Toro is somebody that everybody loves, and I think his campaign for himself has been lovely. He's gotten out there, and his anti AI campaign, I think, is going to resonate with people. He's been asked openly about his opinions on AI, and his direct quote was, "I'd rather die." uh, so, um, than use AI. And I think for all of these, I think that's why you're seeing people respond to Frankenstein and the Crafts, is because he will keep people employed, um, actual human beings. He doesn't intend on. So if you continue to reward Guillermo del Toro, you continue to reward a future for people who don't. Whereas, like, one of the supporting actors from Marty Supreme in his campaign was like, I don't know why we can't use AI to replace extras. Okay. You know, to do um that kind of work anyway, but for like crowds and atmosphere, that kind of stuff. uh so in the great AI battle, this is a group of people who I don't think are pro AI, and I think that's helping him. And the other thing is, I think Marty Supreme is going to peak at the right time, and Josh Safdie is going to get in. I don't think he's going to get the DGA nomination. I think that's going to be the difference, is that we're going to see the split there. I think Chloe will get the DGA nomination, and then she'll lose to Josh, for the and I think Joachim Trier might get the nomination. I don't know if they can be. I don't know what the thing is about international directors. Javar Panahi. I don't know how we're going to land with that with DGA. Um, but because it's Director Guild of America, so what the focus is on that. But yeah, they don't always go 5 for 5, and I would think that would be the surprise swap. Would be that Josh doesn't get DGA but then gets the Oscar. So actor, we're moving on to actor. I'm down with pretty much everybody you're down with, probably. Timothy Chalamet, Leonardo DiCaprio, Wagner Moura. I'm going with Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon. I don't think that performance is going anywhere. I think the fact that Blue Moon got into Pitcher at the Globes shows how much people actually like the Ethan Hawke performance, because that's not a movie that would end up in Pitcher. Um, and it got there based off of that one thing. So I think that pretty much solidifies. And then I know people want me to say, um, you know, uh, Michael B. Jordan, and that's the. I'm trying to get this thing to stop binging. Um, and I have been with and am on the Dwayne Johnson train the whole time. And I'm not leaving it. I think he gets the nomination. I do. I think he's going to get the nomination. I think Dwayne is affable when he campaigns. I think he is nice to talk to. I think he's going to get the nomination. I don't know how to quantify that. He got a Globe nomination. I think he's going to continue to campaign. He's going to continue to go out there and do things, and people are going to continue to like him. He has been acting for years. This is sort of a little bit of a Cinderella story for him. It's appropriate casting. I don't know if people don't think it's a strong performance. I would say it is. It's just it's appropriate casting. So that's my pick over Michael B. Jordan. I think he's going to get snubbed again for Sinners. I just, as much as I would love to see Michael B. Jordan get a nomination, let's face it, he should have been nominated already. So there's something about Michael B. Jordan that just hasn't gotten him there before, and I don't know that him doing the dual role of two vampires is going to be enough, even in Sinners, of all the films. I think Sinners just may not get any acting nominations. So, actress, we're going to go with definitely Jessie Buckley, because I think she's poised to win. I would go with Timothée Chalamet right now for actor. The biggest, it's between Chalamet and Wagner Moura. I want to say Wagner, but there's something about the opening for that film that does make me buy into the whole like maybe it's Timmy's moment. But he's so young, and Wagner's been. So I'm between. I don't think DiCaprio's getting a second Oscar for One Battle, but I do think he'll break his curse of not being nominated, which he wasn't for the last two films for Killers and Don't Look Up. So, um, yeah, and Ethan Hawke hasn't been nominated since Training Day, so just nominating him uh, is a lot. Actress Jessie Buckley, Renata Reinsve. And then it gets kind of tough. Do I think Cynthia Erivo is going to get nominated? No, I do not. I don't think Cynthia Erivo is in the path for nomination anymore. Um, I think that has floated away from her. I think the force of Wicked for Good. I've mused. The problem is I mused early on that I don't think both actresses were going to get the nomination, and I think the actress race has shaped up so much that Cynthia is going to be the one that's sacrificed. I thought it would be Ariana because it feels like one nomination for Ariana Grande is a lot, but I think Ariana may be the one who slips in twice. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go with no on that. Um, I I don't think Kate Hudson's gonna get in for Song Song Blue. I think she's. Uh, I've heard some hot takes from the disability community that she does not do that role well. So I'd like to kind of stop promoting her. But some people who have mobility issues have hinted to me. I know I'm a disabled critic, so I know other disabled people who, and they're like, nah, that's that performance from people who could see and are like mobility disabled say that that's not a good performance. That she's good all the way up until the point that she has to try to pretend that she is and that she's not. So Sydney Sweeney's thing is over, I think, as sadly are some other people who just never got off the ground, like Lucy Liu for Rosemead. That's clearly the best performance of her career. Is Amanda Seyfried going to get in for Testament of Anne Lee for the best performance of her career? I don't know. Fox Searchlight really just needs to run that. Like that needs to be their thing. She needs to be everywhere. She needs to be like ubiquitous in the next like month, just to where like you can't stop but run into Amanda Seyfried, who's like, "Have you seen my movie?" You know, like, "Will you vote for me?" Um, I I think Tessa Thompson has a better shot than I thought she did. I don't think Julia Roberts is getting in here. Eva Victor, I think has a very fringy chance, like a very fringy sort of like holy shit surprise type of chance, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Emma Stone for Begonia. I just don't know where the passion is for that because, again, are we going to give her a third Academy Award? Like, what are we doing with this performance? But the category has become a little bit more open and a little bit more jumbled as it continues to move forward in terms of where are these performances coming from, who's getting the nomination. It's sad Laura Dern didn't take off, or is this thing on? Um, uh, Trying to go through all of the potential. Dune Squib never happened for Eleanor the Great. Um, what else are we looking at? Who else could possibly be in this conversation? So we have the Chase Infinity of it all. Do I think Chase Infinity is going to get a nomination? I think she's a maybe. I think I have another maybe in Chase Infinity. I would have said no to a while ago, but now I'm like, well, maybe Chase Infinity is going to get in for this film, um, where perhaps she wasn't going to before. uh, there are so many maybes in this race now that it's kind of confusing and frustrating at the same time. I think everybody has turned into a maybe, except for Jesse and Renata. I think those are the only two people that I would define as locks in this race. Um, and then from there, you have a whole bunch of films that just don't have leads. But there is one actress who is going to be the lone nominee from her film. It'll be the only thing that the film gets the nomination for, and that'll be Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. People had, I think in the earlier part of the season, they were like, I don't know, she'll be lucky to get it at number 5, and she's been showing up everywhere. So my girl Rose Byrne, in a amazing performance, is great. And If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. She's getting spot number 3. I actually think Jennifer Lawrence is going to get in for Die My Love at spot number 4. So, of all of those maybes that I listed earlier, which one am I picking for spot 5? Today, the wind is blowing. um, and I kind of want to say that it could be a surprise. I want it to be like a Tessa Thompson surprise, but I don't think that's going to happen. Um, and I kind of wonder if the newness of Chase Infinity being in this race wouldn't in and of itself be a surprise. But I'm going to give it to Amanda Seyfried for The Testament of Anne Lee and say if Fox Searchlight can get their shit together and run just a Best Actress campaign for Amanda Seyfried, she might get it. She is that good in the film. And right behind her, I would say, is Chase Infinity. I think Chase might be too green for a lead actress nomination. I think if she was running in supporting, she would absolutely get it. Supporting actor: Stellan, Sean, Benicio, um, Paul Mescal, and then we're down to the great debate, right? Who gets the final spot? I think pretty much everybody else is predicting those 4. I would be surprised to see that change. I think those 4 have the votes. And for 5th place, I'm going with Adam Sandler. I just don't know that Jacob Elordi is going to be lucky enough to get the nomination for playing the creature in Frankenstein. I think Adam Sandler's performance in Jay Kelly is a little bit more accessible, and he could turn out to be sort of like the lone nomination from Jay Kelly. Supporting actress, I think this one has sort of pared itself down also. Actress is the one that's just like a, oh my God, what am I doing here? Type of thing. But I think supporting actress has shown up a little bit. As far as who's winning, though, God, I don't know. I still think, oh, it's Stellan for supporting actor. Supporting actress, who wins? I saw somebody put Amy Madigan at number 1. I think that's a hot take. I like it, but I think more traditionally, it's probably not going to be her. I kind of wonder if Lilius from I can't remember her full name, from Sentimental Value, if Sentimental Value doesn't win both supporting categories, the 2 of them. So I'm going with both actresses from Sentimental Value, Lilia Snell, and I'm going with Ariana Grande, Tiana Taylor, and Amy Madigan. I don't think anybody's getting in from Marty Supreme. I don't think anybody's going to get in, surprisingly, from Sinners. Sorry. So those are my 5. I think a lot of people have that 5. Best original screenplay. I don't even know if I remember what's original and what's not right now, but original, I'm going to go with Sinners, uh, we're gonna go because I think it's gonna win. So I remember the one I think is gonna win, and then it's like filling out the rest of the category. I wonder if this is not a nomination for it, it's just an accident. Um, I wonder if this can't be a nomination for weapons, like a secondary nomination for weapons. I wonder if it can't be a nomination for Sorry Baby. Like, I wonder if there are some films here that we wouldn't necessarily be thinking of that couldn't slide into original screenplay that people have kind of written off as being, well, maybe not that film. Well, maybe they're fringy types of films. And it's possible that awarding those films will get them nominations here. So I'm thinking more like Weapons. I'm thinking Sorry Baby. Um, and for the final spot, uh, I Cinema Value I think is original. So Cinema Value. Those would be the five. So two international spots, along with Sinners, and then maybe a little bit of a surprise in Weapons and Sorry Baby. For films that are looked at just for their screenplay and their originality in the screenplay itself and what the screenplay is actually saying and doing. And that would be Eva Victor's surprise nomination for that. In adapted screenplay, I'm going to go with One Battle. I do think Begonia is going to pick up a nomination here. I haven't given it anywhere else, but I don't think Begonia is going to just completely be absent from the entire race. I also think this might be where No Other Choice gets a nomination. So I'm going to go with No Other Choice. I think Secret Agent is in play here. And I forgot if Marty Supreme is adapted or original. If it's adapted, it'll get in here. If not, then I would take away. What would I take away in an original? Is Marty adapted or original? If it's original, I would drop Sorry Baby or Weapons, which is going to be the surprise. I drop Sorry Baby for Marty Supreme. And then if it's adapted, Marty gets the fifth place spot. If it's not adapted, then Secret Agent. Did I say Secret Agent yet? Frankenstein, Secret Agent. One of those two gets the final spot. So, animated feature is K-pop Demon Hunters, Zootopia 2, Lil Amelie, Arco, and yeah, I, I don't know that Netflix can get two spots here, and I would love to see In Your Dreams in that final spot. I also don't know if I don't know that Disney can get two spots here for Elio. I'm encouraged by Endless Cookie, but I don't know that that can get in here. Magnificent Life. There's the SpongeBob movie, which didn't really open to a ton of business. It's not really been a huge banner year for. There's a movie coming out of China that Sony Pictures Classics has that I know has gotten a little bit of love. I thought that was going to get in at Globes, but it did not. They gave it to Demon Slayer instead, but I don't think Demon Slayer is getting an Oscar nomination for animated feature, although it did a ton of business, but that doesn't always equate to a nomination. So, all that being said, maybe they do vote for Pixar and Elio slides in for the fifth place spot. I don't feel great about it, but I think the other four are the ones that I feel good about, and then Elio sliding in there for the final spot. International feature. This is a gutbuster category. I'm gonna fuck some shit up here. So I don't think Neon City 5 spots. That's not happening. And with Surratt, I think Surratt could be a play in craft categories without being a winner here. It's constantly being viewed as the fifth place. And even if people are wrong, I don't think it's like third, second, or first for Neon. I don't think it's really in terms of the film, in terms of the actual film itself. Um, I think this is definitely, it was just an accident. Sentimental Value and Secret Agent. It's hard for me to give them picture spots without also giving them international. I think No Other Choice may just get a screenplay nomination, and I think Surat will end up getting like a craft category. But I'm going to kick them out of the international race. I'm going to give Neon 3 spots, which already feels like a lot. I mean, the fact that they have 3 spots in picture and they're all international, then they have 3 of the international spots, it feels like a lot. Um, but I would like to put Voice of Hamajab here, because I think that's absolutely getting in. Even if there are 4 Neon nominees, I think The Voice of Hamajab is the one that's best positioned to break into this race. As far as the rest of the films, I mean, there were 2 films that are not being distributed by Neon that showed up another shortlist, and that was Kikiro from Japan and the Sound of Falling. I'm gonna say the history of Sound of Falling, from Germany. And I've heard a lot about Sound of Falling, and Germany does get a lot of nominees. Palestine 36 has Jeremy Irons, which could draw a lot of attention to it. Martin Scorsese has jumped on as like the producer. There are a lot of people who are also producing Voice of Hamajab. A lot of people have jumped on as producer of that, so that's helping that film, who are backing it. Martin Scorsese has jumped on to India's film Home something. Uh, I forgot. Homefront something. I can't remember. The India film, which I've heard is really good. Um, Belen has Amazon backing it, so they're going to make sure that gets everywhere. Left Handed Girl has the Netflix and Sean Baker element to it. Um, there are the pretty much like this category was stacked anyway, and they had a couple nominees that still didn't make it that were like really well reviewed movies. Tom Cruise is, I think, campaigning for Kikiro because it's he Ken Watanabe stars in it. So, God, it's a hell of a race, which is why I don't think Neon could take the 5 spots. Um, Even with the race, even with that factored in there, I think the international branch. But who do they gravitate toward? Where do they gravitate toward? And I'm going to go with the predictability of countries. And it doesn't always work that way because they didn't even shortlist. I don't think My Father's Shadow even got shortlisted this year, coming out of the UK. And they, of course, had Zone of Interest. So they back sometimes international films. I'm going to go with Sound of Falling for the 5th place spot. That's being backed by Mubi. It has just enough financing to be able to get it there. But there are some very interesting contenders here. I do not think this race is shut down. And for anybody who's predicting Neon, that's lazy. That's somebody who does not want to look at the other films and look at who's backing them and running them, where they're coming from. That's somebody who's lying their way through the campaign thinking that Neon has enough money to spend to equally back 5 films for this race, and that everybody would just submit the ballots that were straight Neon. I don't think that's the case. So, very strong contenders from everybody who has seen all of these movies. I've seen some of them. I've seen, like Palestine 36, which is like partially in English, thanks to Jeremy Irons. But yeah, documentary feature. I'm gonna go with Perfect Neighbor and Cover Up and say Netflix gets 2 nominations here. So kudos to them. Congratulations, Netflix. I think Alabama Solution gets in here. I think we have a documentary about prison here, about what goes on in our prisons. I think there are a couple of nominees that I don't know what they are or where they came from. I think 2,000 Meters to Enrica, which is technically also qualified in international, is going to get the nomination. Mariupol won this category previously, and Enrica has a lot of push and love behind it. I think it'll still get the nomination. I don't know that it'll win. I don't know that it'll necessarily walk to a win here, but I think it'll get the nomination. For the 5th place spot, there are a couple of these new documentaries that made the short list that I haven't seen yet, and they're all sort of like Israeli focused. Like they're all like that area of the country. Um, so I think it'll be one of them. I think it's gonna come sort of out of that little. There's like a holding in Lilia or something like that. That when I looked at what the movie was about, I was like, that could do it. There's also, um, if not, there's the one from China where the woman thinks her husband is cheating on her, so she hires that. That's very interesting. I don't see us not nominating an Israeli Palestinian like level documentary. We have Perfect Neighbor is kind of hard to ignore. It might be too popular. And documentary branch sometimes doesn't go with too popular, but I think that's why Come See Me in the Good Light won't get in. Um, Cover Up is its own thing. It's about like journalism. Um, and I could see that. I definitely think that's going to get in here. So I think spreading it out, I just don't know that we get in here without one of the Israeli Palestinian leaning documentaries, but which one? And so if I had to go one, there's like the holding, I forget her name. Okay, I haven't seen the film. If I had seen the film, if it had been submitted to me, I would remember what it was. So now that there's a short list and people have only 15 films to watch, I think something will rise from that. There's also the one about the stand-up comic, which I still need to see. Is really stand-up. Anyway, one of those. I know that's not a hard commitment. What else? I think it'll be fun for me to predict visual effects as a blind film critic. Uh, so we're gonna do it. Avatar, obviously, like duh. If it gets in nowhere else, it's still gonna get a visual effects nomination. Even if it doesn't win the category, it'll still be nominated. Um, Avatar, F1. Um, God, it's a tough category to predict when you can't see the visual effects and you're guessing. I think Sinners made the shortlist, which is intriguing to me. Frankenstein may get in here. I'm with Frankenstein. I'm encouraged by what else did we put in here? Is Wicked going to get the nomination here again? I don't know. Maybe. Let's go with Wicked. Let's say Frankenstein and Wicked. Follow F1, and then I'm gonna go with as my surprise. I knew what my surprise was gonna be, but I couldn't figure out what the other one's gonna be. The Lost Bus, and the reason why is because I've heard that fire is really hard to do as a visual effect, and the fact that the Lost Bus looks as good as it does with fire, and that's one of the comments that people have had with Fire and Ash, is that fire is really hard to do, and I think fire may be the recurring theme here is that people are impressed with the Lost Bus. That could be a surprise nominee. It doesn't feel like the kind of thing that would get nominated in visual effects, but maybe that's why it gets nominated. Score, One Battle, Marty Supreme, definitely are getting in. Oh God. I think Secret Agent should have gotten the shortlist. This has so many shitty shortlist nominations that I want to make sure I don't accidentally predict one, because there are some not great choices here. Truth and Treason and the Diane Warren documentary, just some bizarre choices. Nuremberg, I don't think is going to happen. I question whether that Train Dreams can happen. Yeah, I think they'll give it to Frankenstein. I'll give Frankenstein the third spot. I don't think Wicked's going to get another nomination. I don't think that's a repeat nomination in this category. I think this is one of the categories that it loses. I'm just going to assume Begonia because I think it made the thing, and that's an amazing score. If you've heard the score to Begonia, you'll know what I'm talking about. And then for the final one, as bold as it would be to predict Surratt, I think Train Dreams also got here, so I'm going to pick Train Dreams. The thing is that Surratt also has Tron Ares against it, and the people who are Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross fans have something that is similar, and that is sort of like a non-traditional score to vote for. So I don't know that Surratt necessarily rises to the occasion simply because of that. I don't think Hans Zimmer's F1 makes the cut here either. I do think F1 is going to get into sound along with, uh, oh God, One Battle, um, probably. This one was the one where we snubbed Warfare, which was bizarre. Um, I think One Battle is eligible here. I just feel like One Battle gets a lot of nominations. So I just keep saying it. Like One Battle, um, Sinners. Oh, I didn't pick Sinners for score. Never mind. Never mind. Sorry. Train Dreams out. Sinners in. Fuck, I forgot Sinners. In music of all things. Um, yeah, Sinners. Uh, Frankenstein. And God, what's the last movie? Let's go with Springsteen. Oh God, did Springsteen? Is it really gonna get like a low nomination in sound? Never mind, I take that back. Um, I had F1. I had One Battle. I had Sinners. I have Frankenstein. What's the last movie for this? Mission Impossible? Does it get a sound nomination, but not a? Why is Warfare not here? What on God? What the hell? Um, you know what should get it is also since I mean the whole film hinges on that sound at the last as it was just an accident. That would be a lovely inspired choice at the end. Maybe Surratt. Did Surratt get nominated here? I'll go for Surratt for sound. I don't know. I want to say Warfare, and I can't because for me, like that's the film I would vote for in this category. Like I'm just like, why is Warfare not in this category? What happened? And it's just so mind-boggling to me because to me that is the best sound of the year. So I really don't care who the fifth nomination is. It should be Warfare. Maybe they'll write in ballots. I don't know. Um, but there are only 10 nominees, I think, here, 10 shortlist nominees. Song, let's go with the obvious, like Golden, uh, obviously is getting in. I don't think Wicked gets both songs. I just don't think they're that lucky because at the Globes, they didn't feel the need to nominate Diane Warren, but the Oscars will. The Oscars are going to nominate Dear Me from Diane Warren. Yeah, so um, Golden, Girl in the Bubble, the Dear Me from the Diane Warren song, one of the Sinner songs, and I don't know which one. I was hoping only one of them would get nominated. Now I'm confused. Um, that they would narrow that category down. It's kind of like K-pop. Like I thought they would get two, but they only got one, which immediately put Golden as like the front runner for this category. Um, I think the other one is Train Dreams. I think Train Dreams from Train Dreams gets in here. Makeup and hairstyling. Oh, God, Frankenstein. Uh, Smashing Machine. um, Weapons missed this category, which is so weird. Wicked. I'll give Wicked a spot. I think Wicked gets in here. Um, what else got into this category? I don't know that One Battle has to have this category, but this could be an example of it overperforming. So I'll put One Battle here just because I may snub it somewhere else so that it doesn't get like every category known to mankind. But I do think what One Battle is going to lead in nominations, which means I have to give it nearly every category. I didn't give it visual effects or original song, so I think One Battle made the short list. And for the last spot, uh, God, what film hinges on that I think they're actually watching? Like, I don't think Ugly Stepsister sneaks in here. Maybe Kakiro? That would be interesting if it got a makeup nomination, but not international. It's about kabuki performers. So I'm gonna go with Kakiro and say that gets in as a weird sort of like what costume design. This is definitely Sinners. They had to, the way that they even got their costumes is kind of interesting. Um, Thank you if you're still watching, by the way. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I just kept doing categories. Sinners, Hamnet. Um, I think Testament of Anne Lee. If I'm going to predict Amanda Seyfried for right now, which I did, I'm going to predict Testament gets 2 nominations. I'm going to give it costume design as well. I think this is its best chance at a nomination outside of Amanda Seyfried. Frankenstein and what else gets the nomination for costumes? Yeah, I think this is a category where one battle gets snubbed. Maybe Marty Supreme picks up a nomination without one battle here. Um, I there might just be something out of the blue that gets in here. Marty is a period piece. I'll go with Marty Supreme and say one battle misses costume design for the other films. And like I said, it's got to miss a couple categories. Production design is another one where I don't know that we have to have one battle, but I do think we're going to have Sinners. I do think we're going to have Sinners and Frankenstein. Frankenstein's going to get a bunch of below the lines. I think Avatar might get a second nomination in production design because of the whole fire and ash aspect of it. So I'll go with Avatar, which I think may have a slightly better chance than Wicked for Good in production design. I don't think Avatar is going to be limited to just one nomination this year, but it doesn't really feel like a makeup play. I don't even think it was shortlisted in makeup. So, and it's not going to get cinematography. It's not going to get editing. Where else does it show up? Production design for the new stuff they created. Other than that, I don't know which one of the international Secret Agent feels like it could get into production design as like a surprise. I don't know that it will. So I'll go with Marty Supreme and Hamnet and continue to round out those categories and leave out one battle and say that's another category. It misses production and costume, but then it's going to get editing. And it'll get editing. One battle, Marty, Sinners. I think this one will end up being God. I feel like there should be an international nominee here. Maybe Secret Agent here instead of it was just an accident or sentimental value. Could be sentimental value though. I think there's an international nominee here, and I'm gonna give F1. I know this is usually like populated with, but I think the editing in F1 they like racing movies in this category too, and I think F1 is on the radar. For cinematography, one battle. I think I'm gonna go with Surratt here. I think cinematography for Surratt. We usually get that like one weird nominee. Yeah, I think that's like obviously shot on film. Netflix has benefited from that in the past with Bardot, Blonde, and whatever El Conde. I think this year they don't really have that unless it's Nouvelle Vague, which could get in here, which I may still predict. But that's black and white. I don't know how they feel about black and white cinematography, like on an expansive level. So my safer bet is Surratt being sort of the out and left field cinematography nomination. I think Sinners gets in here. I think they will snub F1. This is not an F1 category. I think Frankenstein will get in for cinematography, and I think possibly that they might appreciate the cinematography and sentimental value, which I've heard is really beautiful. It's sort of a different style of cinematography. It could also be, it's not gonna be Song Song Blue. I mean, it could be Hamnet. It could be Nouvelle Vague. Um, I wonder if Nouvelle Vague can happen here. Could be Train Dreams. Could be Marty. Like any of those. But yeah, I'm gonna go wild and crazy. Let's do Nouvelle Vague here and put that in there as that casting. One battle. This is gonna look like the best picture list. One battle, Marty Supreme, because it already did look like a one. Uh, Sinners. um, and then what else did they nominate here? I'm gonna go with Wicked and Weapons. Uh, and go wild on that, go crazy on that, and say Wicked because I think it's an opportunity for them to award both films, and it is still in the running. It's going to get some nominations, just not as many as the first time. And Weapons because they had to replace that entire cast at the last minute, like on a dime, on a dime. I think it's interesting that that was included on the casting list with a whole bunch of Best Picture likely contenders. I think that says something about how they're specifically looking at casting. I wanted this to be like Ephus, The Plague, like things where it's like the casting is kind of brilliant and it's not a whole bunch of like picking up the phone and being like, "Hey, Leo, want to do a movie?" But it's not that. So I think that's every category except the shorts. So thanks for watching. Thanks for staying that late, and I'll see you guys on the other side.